him.
Ashla Hudson, the mother of Carlos, says her son was killed by
Marcus Johnson, an ex-boyfriend of his, and who Carlos had restraining order on.
Hudson says Johnson
followed my son to M-Bar.
And Marcus was sitting in a booth behind him. Hudson says Carlos filed a restraining order against Johnson, and some of her family members asked Marcus to leave that evening.
That's when security was alerted. But the security guards at M-Bar said that they couldn't do anything because they didn't actively have the restraining order there. So, leading up to this morning, I feel if they had arrested him Saturday night, my son still would be alive.
I'm here with Carlos Collins' family as they are grieving.
Lord, help me. Somebody turn him in, Lord. Turn him in.
Collins' aunt, Glory Jean Hudson, says her nephew came to see her last Thursday.
And he said, Auntie, I bought your steak. I bought this. I said, well, Carlos, I got your blueberry pie. Take it home, put half in the refrigerator, and eat the other. But I didn't know that'd be the last time I see my nephew.
In Yazoo City,
police, I want you to find Marcus for killing my uncle.
To update, a Jackson murder suspect is now in custody after leading several law enforcement agencies on a chase from Vicksburg to Rayville, Louisiana. At 5:45 p.m. Wednesday, a deputy with the Warren County Sheriff's Office spotted a black Honda Accord that was listed as possibly occupied by a murder suspect from Jackson. To Warren County Sheriff Martin Pace, the deputy, along with troopers, tried to stop Johnson in Mississippi, but he continued to travel into Louisiana. Delta Marshal Office, the Madison Parish Office, and Louisiana State Police joined in the pursuit. They went through Madison Parish, and after several failed tire deflation attempts, they kept going into Richland Parish of Louisiana, traveling at speeds between 80 to 100 miles per hour. He stated that they were joined by the Richland Parish Sheriff's Office, and at the 140-mile marker in Rayville, Louisiana, they were able to use tire deflators on the vehicle where it came to a stop, and Johnson was taken into custody with no incident. Johnson is currently being held at the Richland Parish Detention Center before the Jackson Police Department can extradite him back to Jackson. Johnson was wanted in connection with the shooting and the killing of Carlos Collins. Collins' family stated that he had filed several restraining orders against the suspect. Jackson Police Chief Joseph Wade stated that Johnson, age 33, worked for JPD for 8 months. Quote, he was separated from JPD pending disciplinary actions leading up to his immediate termination. Wade stated that Johnson resigned on September 10th of 2013 before he was terminated. So since we're dealing with a same-sex relationship, I felt that we should go over a little bit of information. Number one, 26% of gay men and 37% of bisexual men have experienced forms of rape and physical violence by an intimate partner compared to 29% of straight men. Next, the most recent research in police DV, since we're dealing with the story of an officer, has shown that officers may perpetrate DV at a higher rate than the general population, 28% versus 16% respectively. Last but not least, in a study of male same-sex relationships, only 26% of men called the police for assistance after experiencing near-lethal violence. So I would just like to say my condolences to the family. You can obviously see in the video that they are quite distraught over the loss of their loved one who had a very promising career, but due to the effect of this officer or ex-officer, he decided that he wanted to be within his emotions or deal with the situation, how he wanted to deal with it. And he took the life of his boyfriend for clearly no reason. And yet again, this is an officer of the law who also was going to be terminated, but he decided to pretty much quit. Not only that, he also had a multitude of restraining orders directly on him. So, for a lot of people out there that wonder how these things are able to transpire and take place. If you're a cop, you can do anything. If you were a cop, you can still do anything. You still got connections with law enforcement. You can easily just call somebody up and yada, yada, yada. Again, this is a murder suspect, and look at how it is that he's being treated. Why? Because previously he was an officer. So still with that title, even though he doesn't have it anymore, he's being treated with so much respect and so much care. Even though within the article we were able to understand that, hey, he was, going at high rates of speeds. Not only was he endangering his own life, not only was he endangering the lives of the officers that had to pursue him, but he was also endangering all of the people and the businesses around him because he did not care. Just like he didn't care about the life of Mr. Collins. See how that works? And the other reason I wanted to bring up those stats is because it always gets on my nerves every time that I get on social media and people want to talk about DV cases. People only focus on one aspect, which is heterosexual men. Nobody ever wants to talk about the fact of the amount of same-sex relationships that go through DV on an everyday basis. And in a lot of instances, they go at it at a higher frequency. But yet nobody talks about those stats. Nobody wants to argue those stats. Nobody wants to continuously bring up those stats in order to try to pitch some type of narrative, right? But here we are. This is what it looks like when people don't want to focus on the problem. This is what it looks like when people don't want to focus in on the stats. This is what it looks like when people allow, quote unquote, officers of the law to do whatever it is that they want to do. Again, Mr. Collins is completely innocent in everything that took place. At no point in time did we hear of anything to show that he was deserving of having his life taken. At no point in time. But you're able to see the selfish nature of another individual who clearly was not even in a relationship with the person, who clearly had a multitude of restraining orders, who clearly lost his job because of incompetence, and then decided that, oh, well, I don't have anything else left. Let me just decide to go within my selfish nature and take somebody's life for clearly no reason at all. And then not only that, couldn't even stand by that as a man, decided, oh, I took his life. Let me do the race. Let me, as an ex-cop of the force, let me decide to run from the cops. Wow. Wow. Like I said, my condolences to the family. I know that nothing can bring back your son. Nothing can bring back your loved one, your nephew, but hopefully you can have a peace of mind knowing the fact that the killer, the person who took the life of your family, the light of your life, is now captured and they're going to get prosecuted for what they've done.